Good morning.
Matter of the Commonwealth versus Aidan Kearney.
Turn on, go away, please. Thank you. Go away, please. Thank you.
You finished your direct examination, is that right?
I have, Your Honor.
All right. Witness, can you take the witness stand?
Okay.
And do you swear in Madam Acting hearing to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Please proceed.
Thank you very much. Good morning, sir.
Morning.
You're Colin McCabe,
That is correct, yes.
and you are related to some of the witnesses in the Karen Reed matter.
Yes, I am.
And who are those folks?
My brother Matthew McCabe and my sister-in-law Jen.
So back on 2/26/24, you were here as part of a group of people going to court in the Karen Reed case, right?
That is correct.
And it was a 2 o'clock hearing.
I don't know what happens.
Well, you were there in the afternoon, weren't you?
Yes, I'll do it.
All right. And so you know that the court goes till 1. There's a lunch break from 1 to 2, and then they start up again at 2, right?
Yeah, I have no idea what happened. They don't even know.
Okay. So do you know what time you were here with this group that day?
With the group, I know I was there in the afternoon. I don't know the time exactly.
Okay. How did you come to be informed that you should meet at that location?
I spoke to my brother and I said, I'll meet down at the courthouse.
And that's Matt McCabe?
That is correct.
Okay. What was your understanding of what you were going to be there for and what was going to happen that day?
I was coming in to support the O'Keefe family and the witnesses in the case. So, support group.
Have you ever met had you ever met Lindsay Gattani before that day?
No, I had not.
Okay. And when you got there, did you have any conversation with her?
No, I had not.
How many people approximately had gathered at that area behind the registry of deeds in your group?
It was a good sized group. It was kind of broken up into multiple groups, but maybe 20 or 30 people, maybe. I have no idea.
And was Paul O'Keefe there?
I have no idea. He might have been. I have no idea.
So did someone introduce you to Ms. Gattani?
No, I never met her.
And you said it broke down into 2 groups as everyone came towards the courthouse, is that right?
That is correct.
Who was in your group?
In my group, multiple people, I have no idea who they were. My sister, my aunt, my cousin.
What are the names, please?
My cousin?
Yeah, the names of the people that were in this group.
I don't know everybody knows in the group, but Kathy Faulkner, my aunt. Shannon Sullivan is my cousin. Megan McCabe is my sister. I think a few of my sister-in-law's sisters were there. I don't know their last names off the top, man, but Michelle and Denise and everybody else. I don't know who else was there.
What was your understanding of the hearing that was going to happen that day?
My understanding was it was a quick hearing that day, go in, see what happens, and then leave.
So you walked towards the courthouse from the registry of deeds, correct?
That is correct.
And which way did you walk? Let's say you're walking towards the courthouse from the registry of deeds. Did you go to the right around the building or did you go to the left around the building?
Came up the driveway side, so I think that's the left around the building. If you come from behind, but if you're looking at it, to the right. So it depends on what side you're on.
Okay,
So
so,
rear, it's on the left side. You're looking at the front of the building.
okay, so can we say it this way, that you came up between this building and the registry?
Yes,
And that's when you came into the court?
that is correct.
What happened when you got inside the court?
When I got inside the court, I then went through the metal detector and everything, came in the building, walked up the set of stairs to where there was a group of people waiting to get into the court.
Did you see Ms. Gattani inside the courthouse at all?
No, I did not. She wasn't in.
Did you end up getting into the courtroom?
No, there were too many people and there was a head count on the numbers that can get in, so I was at the back of the line, so I did not get it.
To your knowledge, did Mr. Carney get into the courtroom?
Yes. Roll call, please.
At some point, so just to set this right, you're outside the courtroom, but in the courthouse.
That is correct.
What did you do while you were in the courthouse waiting around?
Just sat there waiting.
How long did it take?
Wasn't long, maybe half hour.
And what happened after half an hour?
Then after that, when the court let out, everybody started coming down the stairs. I waited for the group that I was with to come out, and then I proceeded to fall behind them and exited the courthouse.
And did you see Ms. Gattani as far as exiting the courthouse at all?
At that time, I had no idea who she was, so, but she was in the group of people that was exiting that house.
So I'm glad you brought that up. A lot of these observations that you have, that you've offered, are from you looking at video and then realizing stuff later, right?
Me looking at a video and realizing, yes,
And one of them is figuring out who Ms. Gattani is, right?
well, no, when we were in the back parking lot, I then found out who she was when we were back.
So did you recognize her in the courthouse or not?
Yeah, I saw her when she went into the courthouse.
Did she have a piece of paper in her hand?
Yes, she did.
And what was your understanding of why she had a piece of paper in her hand?
My understanding of what that was all taking place when I was standing at the doorway waiting to get in. She had said to the court officer that she had an order against Mr. Khan.
Did you talk to Jennifer McCabe about Ms. Gattani at all?
No, I did not.
It's true that Ms. McCabe was with Ms. Gattani on the way in and on the way out, wasn't she?
She was part of the group. Yes.
Did you hear them talking?
No, I did not hear them talking.
Did you hear them approaching the courtroom?
No, they were in a different group than me.
So back to leaving. You leave the courthouse, and is it still two groups or is it one big group now?
When I left the courthouse, it was one big group.
So Ms. Gattani's in that group?
Yes, she was.
Ms. McCabe, Jennifer McCabe's in that group?
Yes, she was.
And you're in that group?
Yes, I was.
And how many people roughly in the group?
I don't know, probably about 25 people maybe.
And when you were leaving, the hearing had concluded and a lot of people were streaming out of the courthouse, weren't they?
Yes,
Some people went to the right down the handicap ramp. Some people went down straight, right?
that is correct.
There was probably over 100 people out in front of the courthouse when you left, right?
It was probably more than that, sir.
More than that, okay. And you and your group went out of the courthouse and you went down the handicap ramp, right?
That is correct.
And you came to the bottom of the handicap ramp and you were jawboning with some of the protesters out there, weren't you?
Yes, some things were being said to me and I responded to the things that were being said.
Sure. And you called somebody retarded and you said something about somebody could be committed or something, or you're waiting for them to be committed, right?
Yes, might not have been the best choice of words at that time, and I regret saying that, but yes,
And as you're leaving, Ms. Gattani's in your group and everyone's sort of walking together away from the courthouse, right?
correct, to go across the street to where the cops are parking.
Right. So everyone's walking at first along High Street towards Dedham Center, right?
That's the name of the street. I don't know the name of the street, but,
Well, let's do it this way. In the street in front of the courthouse.
yes,
You exit, you get to the bottom of the handicap ramp, you make a right, you're walking towards town.
yes,
And you're kind of walking towards this building,
yes,
but across the street.
correct,
Then you get to the crosswalk, you walk over to the same side of the streets that this building's on, right?
yes,
And then you walk down that little street that's in between this building and the Registry of Deeds building, right?
yes,
So all this time, you're walking away from the courthouse
walking away from, yes,
and you're walking away from the Registry of Deeds building I should say, the front of the registry. Okay.
Well, no, technically, when we're crossing the street, I'm walking towards the registry. And then as we're walking down the side street, then yes, I'm not walking away from the registry of deeds until I get kind of.
Okay, so you get to the side of it, you're walking along the building, away from the front of the building, right?
That is correct.
I'm gonna show you some photos. May I approach, Your Honor? Gonna show you these three photographs. I've shown these to council. Take a look at those. Tell me when you're done, familiarize yourself with those. Okay, are those close-ups of you and your group leaving the courthouse?
Yes,
Are they fair and accurate representations of your group's departure from the courthouse that day?
well, this one here, yes, these ones right here, I don't know exactly where it's at.
Well, do they show the same people that you were with that day?
There was multiple people there, it shows a few of the same people that I was with that day, I don't know if it's everybody.
And so it's, can we agree that it's a partial representation of some of the people in the group when you left?
Yes.
And also these judges in next week.
No objection.
Thank you. Okay.
Exhibit 41, 42, and 43.
Okay. You just take those back.
Sure.
Thank you.
There you go.
Thank you. Showed you, we did 41. Who's the gentleman in the red desk?
Thinking that's, me,
And that's a picture of your group department, right?
that is correct.
All right. And then, exhibit 42, who do you recognize in the photo? In that photo?
I recognize my sister-in-law,
Names, please?
that is Jen McCabe. Recognize, I don't know her name, but that appears to be my sister-in-law's cousin. And I recognize, one of my sister-in-law's sisters. Not sure which one it is, either Denise or Michelle. Terrible one, you know,
That's
know which one they are. And I think, it might be a side group of maybe my sister, but I can't 100%.
Thank you. This is exhibit 42 for the record. Thank you, Madam Clerk.
Thank you.
That is exhibit 43. And, do you recognize in that photo?
See, that is the Chris Albert. One of my sister-in-law's sisters, either Denise or Michelle, and then that's, one of my sister-in-law's brother-in-laws, that's, Bob. And then I see, looks like my sister-in-law's cousin, I'm not sure her name. I see the side of one of my sister-in-law's, sisters, which is, Denise and Michelle. And, then that appears to be, Lindsay Giovanni and,
Exhibit 43. Thank you.
Thank you.
So when you walked out, there was a pretty raucous crowd yelling and screaming. You're engaging with them. They're giving it to you, right?
yeah, it was a pretty chaotic situation, yes.
And you never heard anyone yelling liar, liar, did you?
I don't know what I heard, I only heard a couple of things being stated myself, and those are, that's fine.
Sure. Now, in all the video you looked at, all the photos you dealt with, there's no photo, there's no representation of Mr. Kearney and Ms. Gattani in the same frame or the same video. Isn't that correct?
From the photos you just sent me, no.
From everything you looked at, you said that you looked at some things to figure out what happened, right?
Well, yes, in one of the, in the video that I took.
So it's a yes or no question. I'm not asking you for a narrative. I'm asking you if in all those reviews, you saw any frames, pictures, stills of Mr. Kearney and Ms. Gattani in the same picture or still,
So not a video, just a still of it.
any of it.
Well, in the video.
A still of a video or a photograph, there's no
If I have
picture
a photo on-
where they're both in it.
No,
So were you aware that day that Ms. Gattani had a restraining order against Mr. Kearney?
I heard about that after the fact.
So at the time you didn't know?
No, I had no idea.
Did you speak to Paul O'Keefe that day at all?
No, I did not.
May I have one moment, please, Your Honor? Thank you. Nothing further, sir. Thank you. Thank you, Your Honor.
I'll redirect.
No redirect, may the witness be excused if he wishes to leave.
All right, thank you very much.
Your Honor, the Commonwealth is
Council of scheduling. I'm just going to address the motion of quash.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Council, thank you for your patience. Where are we on this right now? Have you folks talked at all? You remember the court's partial ruling is that the motion of quash is denied as relates to testimony.
Yes, he's our third or fourth witness, I think, Your Honor. And we would like to get a look at his text messages with these other people about this notion of inviting Ms. Gattani with her restraining order to this court session.
What's the witness's position relative to that motion for?
Let me state, if I may, Your Honor, because I've sat here for a couple of days, so I think I understand case a little bit better than I did before it started. This is still Rule 17, subpoena, so relevance is still relevant. At the beginning, I said to you, Your Honor, and I can see that you witnessed, I agreed at that time, or I heard what is coming today. If I understand the facts correctly, the operative time frame is leaving the property. I accept that there was testimony that came in yesterday that there may have been some communication with my client about arriving at the courthouse that day. But the question for this case is what happens when leaving the courthouse, going back to the registry of deeds, and whether there's a violation of an order. I looked at every one of those photos, every one of those videos. My client is nowhere to be found. He was not there. He was no longer a precipient witness to those facts.
What's your position on Mr. Brado seeking some of these phone messages that you're opposing?
I oppose it vehemently. I mean, he's asked for unlimited scope on four different
We're
people.
going to talk about that.
We did talk, Judge, and I narrowed the request to 30 days prior. And
And what's your offer of proof of what you believe is going to be relevant from that?
sure. So we contend, Judge, that there's a conspiracy between Ms. Gattani, Mr. O'Keefe, Ms. Jennifer McCabe, and probably other members of the Albert McCabe family to, now that Mr. Kearney's out of jail, a couple days out of jail, they know that she has a restraining order. They invite her to the courthouse to kick Mr. Kearney out of there and sort of exact some revenge on Mr. Kearney, interfere with his reporting, etc. So what do we have for that? We have,
Let's assume that's the case.
okay,
Where does that go relative to this charge? Just. In my role as a judge only here,
sure.
not a fact.
Well, it goes to
Let's
it
assume
goes to credibility, Your Honor, in terms of that they're trying to create
Yeah.
a restraining order violation.
Bad motive.
Yep, sad
Now, where do
motive.
we go from there? Relative to this charge?
Yeah.
Bad motive.
So Ms. Gattani testified that she was invited by Mr. O'Keefe or the O'Keefe family.
Yep.
She involved another nemesis of Mr. Kearney, Kate Peter, that she was the broker of this thing. And, Paul O'Keefe is sitting in the courtroom. He's on video and it's in evidence walking in with Ms. Gattani. And I think he's a relevant witness to what transpired and why it
He's
transpired.
gonna be in this courtroom testifying,
Right,
but as far as the prelude to that,
right. Well, it's a conspiracy, so they had to have communicated. And, you know, we want the communications of how this was set up to try to create a situation that Mr. Carney would fall into the trap.
I appreciate your offer. I'm gonna deny the text message, Rule 17, but you are gonna be able to call him as a witness. I don't know what the timing is across the street. I want to be obviously sensitive to it, but we have to move on, so we'll keep that in mind. The motion to quash is denied as it relates to him as a testimonial witness. It's allowed as it relates to documents.
Your Honor, Vice President.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. You rested.
Yeah, the-
Motion for required finding not guilty, Your Honor. Waive argument.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, oh, thank you, Your Honor, I appreciate that. So Judge, even in the light most favorable to the Commonwealth in this case, Judge, there's no evidence of any criminal intent. There's no evidence whatsoever that Mr. Carney was trying to violate any court order. Mr. Carney did everything right. He was at his place of work. And again, no different than if he's at the Exxon station down the street in the mechanic space. He's working. She knew he was going to be there. She goes there to evict him. He goes with it. He gets up and leaves, and he walks a circuitous route down, away, and he checks in with the government. This is the key point here, Judge. This is what's fatal to the government's case. He checks in with a policeman. He reveals the situation. The policeman says, go over there for now. He goes over there. Then things change. The hearing ends early. She comes down. Hundreds of people come down, over 100 people, however you want to see it. You have the video, you've seen it. People come out. Everyone's got a black coat on. Everyone's got black glasses on, black hair. It's a sea of people. Mr. Carney's there. He's live streaming. He's talking about what just happened to him. And he's in the general vicinity of where the policeman told him to go. I would suggest that as a matter of law, the government is stopped from then prosecuting him for doing what they told him to do. And, you know, the only reason we're here is because of the poisonous atmosphere that surrounds these cases with respect to the Norfolk County DA's office and my client and the Reed matter. Any reasonable prosecutorial agency judge would look at the case and say, wait a minute, they're saying there was a violation 10 minutes ago. A cop was there 10 minutes later and they don't report it. And it's just a ridiculous scenario that if they had seen him, in other words, if there was contact, they would have made sure he got arrested. And this is all reverse engineered. They looked at the video later on. They saw that he was there. And then they called, hey, he was there. We just looked at the video. And they trying to create contact after the fact, Your Honor. Mr. Carney is not doing anything outside of what he was told to do. He left, he walked that route, he went right to a policeman, he was told to go somewhere and he went there. He was waiting there, Judge. The evidence will show, if we have to do a defense case, the evidence will show that he was waiting there to report to the officer who was busy at the time. He didn't want to go off alone because he didn't know where she was going to go. That's his state of mind with respect to Gattani, is that he doesn't know what she's capable of. He didn't know what she's going to do next. He just got out of jail from her locking him up for 60 days. So he wants to stay with the policeman. He stayed where the government told him. He wanted to get a chance to report and document and get the officer to take some notes and write a report about what had just happened. He didn't want to go off this direction or that direction or to a car or whatever, because he didn't want to end up like Frank Keegan. He didn't want to end up at her mercy. She goes to him, she calls the cops. He had just seen that video, the evidence would show if we had to do a defense case. He had just seen that video a few days earlier and he sees what she's capable of. He's terrified of this woman. He doesn't want to engage with her. He doesn't want to provoke her. He doesn't want to give her any ammo whatsoever. That's what the evidence showed here in the Commonwealth's case, is that he did everything right. He followed the Commonwealth's representative at the time's directions, and that should end the case, Your Honor. So that, as a matter of law, I respectfully submit, should require the court to enter a required finding based on the government's actions, based on the unequivocal, uncontested testimony surrounding Officer Crump, that he said, go over there for now, and he did that. would ask you to dismiss the case, Judge.
Mr. Bradle has just treated your honor to a lot of pseudo testimony about the defendant's state of mind, and has focused on his defense. He said very little about the Commonwealth's evidence. But if your honor were instructing the jury, I believe if you follow the model jury instructions, you would instruct the jury that there are 4 things that the Commonwealth has to prove beyond a reasonable doubt. 1, that a court issued a protective order. That's not even in dispute, I think. Second, that the order is in effect on the date the violation occurred. That's not in dispute either. Third, that the defendant knew the order was in effect. I think we know that, if nothing else, from Mr. Bradle's conversation with the police officer, that he knew the order was in effect. And finally, that the defendant violated the order by failing to stay 100 yards away. I'll talk about that if necessary, but in the meantime, as to Mr. Kearney's state of mind, the law is that violation of a no contact order requires no showing of mens rea other than knowledge of the order itself. That's Commonwealth versus Fanasi, 435 Mass at 312, Your Honor. There was no requirement of a showing on the Commonwealth's part of intent on the part of the defendant to violate the order. That's Commonwealth versus Delaney, 425 Mass at 596 to 597. There was no proof that the defendant intended an act that resulted in the violation. That's Commonwealth versus Collier, 427 Mass at 388. All the Commonwealth has to show is that there was an order that said he had to stay 100 yards away. And if he knew where she was, or had an idea where she was, he didn't stay 100 yards. I said in my opening statement, Your Honor, that the defendant did the right thing when he saw Ms. Catani enter the courtroom. He got up and he left. And if he had kept on going, he would have been fine. He should have kept on going until he got 100 yards away. We can argue about whether or not going down the stairs constitutes the yardage, or whether it's a straight line or whatever. But the fact is, whichever way you calculate it, when Ms. Catani walks out of that courtroom in full view of the defendant, he's about 35 yards away. And he remains 35 yards away. And by the way, he's not staying where the police officer told him to stay. The police officer pointed over towards the street, according to his own testimony, and thought that Mr. Kearney was headed in that direction, and then his attention was drawn to the traffic. There's no testimony that he ever came back to consult with the police officer further, or that he was afraid to leave. Rather, all the evidence, including the photos, shows Mr. Kearney following along Ms. Catani as she proceeds down the street and getting even closer to him by the end of that journey. So he's well within 100 yards. I introduced some photographs of Ms. Catani, Your Honor, that Mr. Kearney posted the next day on the blog. I think there are about 26 of them. I don't know why somebody who's terrified of Ms. Catani would provoke her by filing all those photographs the very next day on his blog. Apparently he managed to overcome his terror somehow. But in any case, I recall Mr. Bradle objecting that he didn't object to the photographs as long as there was no implication that Mr. Kearney took them himself. Well, I don't know whether he took them himself, Your Honor, but I do know that in every single photograph we introduce from those videos of Mr. Kearney, he's standing there opposite Ms. Catani holding up his cell phone camera. So he's well within 35 yards. I would suggest that not only has the Commonwealth proved its case beyond the directed verdict standard, it's proved its case well beyond reasonable doubt.
Just one, if I could just have one brief response. Nice having a case law, but you have to know the person's there. There's knowledge. You can't just be such strict liability if a person is, if the government can prove they're within 100 yards of each other. That's not it. There has to be contact. There's no contact there. The government can't prove contact, and the government is, speculating about where they were relative to each other. They have no evidence whatsoever before you that where they were relative to each other and when. There's no evidence of it, and even in the light most favorable Commonwealth, they've not made it to that threshold that a rational jury would go in that direction. So I ask you to dismiss it. Thank you.
Appreciate the motion. The motion is denied. Are you putting a defense on?
Yes, Judge. Meredith O'Neill, please.
It's called Meredith O'Neill.
Meredith O'Neill. Meredith O'Neill. Why is it for?
Would you raise your right hand? Do you swear in the matter now in hearing to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Thank you.
May I inquire your honor? Good afternoon. State your name and spell your last name. And where do you live, ma'am, just generally? What do you do for a living?
Yeah.
And who do you work for? And what's your educational background?
Management French, and then the master's in accounting and MBA from North University.
How long have you been an accountant?
So, 12 years.
And do you know Aidan Kearney? How do you know Mr. Kearney? And how long have you been dating? How long have you known him?
Years.
You know that he's charged here today with violating a restraining order, right?
Yeah.
And you were with him that day, weren't you? Tell us how that came about, that you and he were together and coming here on coming to Dedham on 2/26/24.
Sure. Your motion says that the Karen case, we both have obviously been following the trial for quite some time, so we decided to attend the hearing together.
And just so, just for the record, so the factual background is clear, Mr. Kearney is a probably the most prolific commentator and journalist investigator
Objection.
on the Karen Reed case. Is that a fair statement?
Overruled.
Yes, that's a fair statement.
And you actually do too, right? You
Yes.
comment on Twitter or X about it here and there, right? And you guys, you assist him with that endeavor as well?
Yes, sometimes.
Sure. So on that date, there was an afternoon hearing on the Reed matter, right? And at the time, Mr. Kearney had just gotten out of jail a couple days earlier, right?
Yes.
And that was from a case that was out of this court, right? You know a little bit about it, right? And that you know that the charge in that case was among the charges in that case was a charge of assault and battery, right?
Your Honor, this is Mr. Brady's witness.
I'm just trying to move it along for some preliminary matters, Your Honor.
It's leading, but it's all anecdotal. We all know most of this anyway. Let's go.
So on the day of 2/26, how do you and Mr. Kearney come together?
So court together with our friend Brad Goldstein.
And what was the plan that day among you guys to watch this hearing?
So, we're on it. So we got there then.
Where did you park when you got here?
I parked in the right.
And did Aiden have a car in some other location as well?
Yes, about 5 or 10 minutes down the road, he in park, so, I met him coming from his house and then we were together.
Then you drove together closer.
Close, correct, to the Red Street.
And where did you park your car?
In the Red Street park.
So in like the back of the building, behind the building?
Yeah.
Did he leave some items in the car when you guys departed the car?
Yes, his computer and his car key.
So what was your path, the three of you, what was your path to the Norfolk Superior Court?
Into the courthouse, we walked around, I believe this building, between this building and the Red Street, across the street, and crosswalk, we crossed out around 1:30.
Was there anything unusual that occurred in the walk, or was it just the typical assemblage of people outside?
Not at all very typical. Reporters, Karen and Dave outside.
And did you have some conversation with them, or did you see Mr. Kearney having any conversation with them?
Yes, many conversations.
Do you know who Lindsay Gattani is? And did you see her outside anywhere during your arrival into the courthouse?
No.
What happened when you got into the courthouse?
About 1:30, we weren't letting go in just yet, so we went to security and then went upstairs and waited in a line before they started letting people in about 10 minutes before. they started coming.
Did you and Aidan and Mr. Goldstein, did the three of you get into the court hearing?
Yes, we did.
And where did you go when you got in there?
That is the third, towards the outside, so,
And if you were looking up at the bench, at the judge's bench, were you on the left or the right?
we are on the left side.
All right, so kind of near the windows on the left? Did you sit in the same row as Mr. Kearney or a different row?
Same row.
What time did you sit down roughly, if you remember?
But one would have been 1:50 short before the clock start time.
Did you have any knowledge of the hearing that was about to commence and what kind of a hearing it was?
Yes, it was a motions hearing. There were several motions to be heard, including a vote.
So was this the type of a hearing that you anticipated would be 5 or 10 minutes, or a longer type of a hearing? So you were sitting down. Did the hearing commence at about 2:01 in the afternoon? And right around the time that it commenced, did you see Miss Gattani? And where did you first see her? All right, and just to summarize, you've seen video of this and you're aware that there's video and evidence about this very snapshot of time, right? Okay, and you remember it though, right? All right, so we're gonna just go with your testimony. So when you turned around and you saw Ms. Gattani, what did you see? Set the scene for us.
Right away, done the cave, and right now I'm being out in the cave and it's other family members, so we had already done the cave, her and was, her name, I said, she's going to be here, we need to leave now.
Did you notice whether she had anything in her hands? Did you make any eye contact with her or communicate with her in any way?
No, as soon as I saw her from afar, I just go down.
When you turned around to see Ms. Gattani, you were looking kind of towards the back of the room?
Yeah.
You kind of had to turn over your shoulder. What about Mr. Kearney? Did you see him, whether he was looking with you or whether he was looking straight ahead?
That was not her, I was just looking to see who was coming in, just wanting to see if it was the gentleman gave it to other witnesses that he.
Okay, you just listen to the question you're asking, just answer that question, and then just wait for the next one.
So when you, right at this snapshot of time, when you're looking back at Ms. Gattani, you see Mr. Kearney. Did Mr. Kearney react in any verbal way, to your knowledge, when he saw or you saw Ms. Gattani?
Corrected her.
Did he get up?
He did get up and said, God, that
Was he facing the direction of Ms. Gattani when he said that? Or was he facing the direction of some other people in the rows?
stayed forward.
And what happened next, right next?
Got out. Also standing in there in between us, the crowd standing between us, and we left, walked out the door, and downstairs.
Did anyone have to tell you or Mr. Kearney what to do?
No, I told him to leave, he left us, not speaking it for him.
What was the time period that went by from the time Gattani walked in the room till you and Aidan had walked out of the room?
Like that.
Where did you see Miss Gattani go when she came into the room, if you saw?
I did, like,
Did you see, do you know who Paul O'Keefe is? Did you see Mr. O'Keefe in there? If you remember.
don't believe so. I mean, looking at videos after the fact, and I can't say that at that time, when I was walking out, I saw any of them because I was just focused on getting out.
Sure. In the 10 minutes or so that you were waiting there, can you recall, looking around the courtroom and seeing who was around?
I think some of you have been there before, but that's certainly not Mr. Tanya or Jeremy Casey who walked out after they.
So you leave with Mr. Kearney out the door of the courtroom.
Correct.
Where do you go?
We head down the stairs, the security area where we came in, and a couple people stopped us and talked.
Excuse me. You still listening to the question or not?
So you walk outside and you're going to leave the courtroom?
Yeah.
As you guys leave, did anybody from the Alberts or McCabe's or O'Keefe's make any comments about you or Aidan having to leave?
Objection, relevance, overruled.
What did Chris Albert say?
At the ITPH shop that we needed.
Where did you go, just physically, where did you go when you left the courtroom?
Right downstairs.
Did you speak with anybody as you were leaving?
One woman, even.
Okay. What was Mr. Kearney's kind of demeanor when he was leaving?
Objection to the characterization and to what he wanted.
Or the anxiety stays, the rest doesn't. It's a question.
When you say he was in a state of anxiety, can you give us some things that you observed about him that made you conclude he was in a state of anxiety?
Like, he told me he was worried and followed him out of.
So you get down the stairs to the first floor? And what happens on the first floor?
A woman approached us and gave some information about entering the courthouse before.
Do you know that lady by any chance?
Yes. So,
Was that in the vicinity of the metal detectors, or where was that on the first floor, just generally? Did you stay with Aidan for that, or did you go ahead of him, or were you still together, or what?
stayed with them.
You exited the court, the front doors of the courthouse? And what was the scene that you first saw when you went outside?
There was, it's a smaller crowd of people outside, smaller than a lot of people thought to be hearing, but for these young people, were also police officers.
Approximately how long after 2 o'clock were you guys standing outside?
Probably within 206, 207.
Few minutes after
Yeah.
2:01 or so, a few minutes later. What did you see Mr. Kearney do when he came out of the courthouse?
He immediately walked up to a police officer across the street,
And where was the police officer?
directing traffic in the crosswalk.
Okay, so that's kind of is that a busy area there, or is that a quiet area? So did Mr. Kearney stay on the court side of the street, or did he walk to the registry side of the street?
He walked to the register side.
Did he try to have a quick conversation with the officer? And what did you see?
The officer, things were restraining order situation, the officer said, go over there for now.
And did you see any physical gesture that accompanied that statement?
Pointed towards there.
Okay, so he kind of made a physical gesture pointing in that direction? And did you see Mr. Kearney do anything in response to that gesture?
He went over towards the registry, the actual building.
All right, and did he, where did he stand in relation to the actual facade of the Registry of Deeds building?
He was all the way up against the wall, far away.
Okay. Did you and Mr. Kearney intend to do anything at that time period to memorialize what had just happened inside?
Objection to what she
Yeah,
did.
objection sustained. It's to the form of the question.
Sure. What was the plan between you and Mr. Kearney about what to do about what happened inside?
Again, I memorializing what happened in there to ensure that this could happen, isn't going to state what happened and make it sound, this down and be some type of violation.
At some point, was Mr. Kearney reporting doing his job, I guess, about what had just happened to him.
Started live streaming about the courthouse, and we both agreed it was a good idea so that everything was documented in case we could kind of see it back out, all of those.
And what is live streaming?
It's just when you have a camera and you project a live video to an audience, whether it's YouTube or at a platform.
Was Mr. Kearney live streaming, to your knowledge, as he came down the courthouse steps?
But
Was he live streaming when he was talking to the officer?
yes,
Did he continue to live stream as he followed the directions of the officer? When he got to the facade of the registry, was he still live streaming? All right. Did you want to get involved with him in his live streaming at the time?
no, I purposely kind of stayed out of the church that it's on.
At some point, did hundreds of people stream out of the courthouse? How much time had passed between when, let's say, when he gets to the facade and then when hundreds of people come out of the courthouse?
Probably 1 or 2 minutes.
Was that an expected strike that? Was that the departure of the folks that you saw in the courtroom earlier?
Yeah.
Did you expect that hearing to end, causing all those people to leave?
No. Friend who was still in there, stayed with us.
You mentioned that the officer that Mr. Kearney spoke with was in a little bit of a busy area, right? Did it get less busy or did it get more busy when those hundreds of people came out?
Because we were,
With this event occurring, did it get more difficult or less difficult to get the officer's ear to get something going with respect to the police report?
for the,
And was Mr. Kearney continuing to live stream?
was for a period of time, yes, that it. Yeah, so. Okay.
Did many of those hundreds of people kind of come across the street to the registry?
Yeah.
Do many of those people know and communicate with you and Mr. Kearney? And they do typically on a regular basis. These are people that you guys know, supporters, friends, colleagues, acquaintances, right? Did you and Mr. Kearney kind of separate off from each other in terms of talking to these people and doing whatever you guys were doing?
Yes, hopefully we did it.
And where were you and where was he, to your knowledge?
Still around that same area, there's around to where the officers are. So at one point, my friend Brad, my team was, but he wandered a little bit towards the parking lot.
At some point, did you see Lindsay Gattani and her group come out of the courthouse? Was it something that was open and obvious, or was it something that was mixed in with everyone else coming out?
All wearing coats.
Was there something unusual about, you know, the colors? Was there contrasting colors? Was it a majority of similar clothing, or what was the scene?
A lot of dark winter, but black winter.
Did you, at some point, when they came out, when Gattani and her group came out, were you paying attention to Mr. Kearney at that time?
I don't know exactly when, the only time I saw her was when I went back to my car, parking lot, get some stuff prepared.
So before you left, did you, and when you were in the vicinity of Mr. Kearney, did you ever hear him calling anyone a liar, screaming out liar, liar? Did you ever see him make any outward manifestations that he had seen or spoke to Ms. Gattani?
No,
And was he still live streaming?
yes,
When you live stream, do you hold up your phone in the similar fashion as you would when you're videoing someone or photographing someone?
pulled up.
So just, is it a similar way or is it dissimilar?
It's different. Trying to get yourself.
And was he doing that to your observation that day? So you were able to discern that he was holding it towards himself versus memorializing the scene? At what point do you and Mr. Goldstein decide to go head towards the rear of the building.
within a minute or two of everybody. He gave his value, he got it, and then he went to my car because he left his school there.
Okay. So, did you say that you saw Ms. Gattani in the back parking lot?
He did, she was already there by this. I didn't see her, Brad, when I stepped out of my car, Brad pointed out that there she is, and took me a few minutes to even represent, to even feel to recognize her. This was another group of women, and pretty much wearing the same thing, so it just took me a little far to see her.
She was parked all the way at the far end of the registry of deeds parking lot, right?
Further towards the end than I was, yeah, I was closer to that one, and
More than a football field away from the registry building, or about a football field, or less than a football field from the registry building, from the back of the registry building? So she was almost to the back of that registry parking lot?
yes,
Was the rest of her group also parked there and congregated there?
they were all congregated, I don't know if the others are, but they were.
So if Mr. Kearney, when he left, if he had gone to the back of that parking lot, he would have been going right to where Gattani was going.
Sure.
It was,
It's sustained.
it was the same location as where Gattani went, right?
I got the picture. Next question.
When Mr. Kearney went to the back with you, was Gattani still there or was she gone?
That was much later, no, I went back and found him. When I saw her back there, I immediately texted him and said, do not come back here,
Okay, so then you go back to where Mr. Kearney is?
all the way on Fort. To the right of Superior Court where Sharon Street Energy parked down that way, so.
All right, so he had departed and gone the other way. And that would be, as you're looking at the North Superior Court, the street to the right along the side of the court, right? And you went and found him? Did you bring him his items? When, Ms. O'Neill, is the first time you saw Ms. Gattani? Departing the court,
In the parking lot.
in the back of the building?
Yes.
Okay. What were your observations of her demeanor? Was she gesturing? Was she looking back? Was she looking forward? What were your observations?
Nothing.
Did anyone in the group appear to be agitated or upset by anything that may have transpired? May I have one moment, please, ma'am? Thank you very much, Ms. Nothing further.
Cross-examination.
You know, I think you told Mr. Brayville, no, been for a couple of years that you've been dating, 8 months, that's right.
That's correct.
Did you know him when he was dating you sometime?
Being repeated.
Really? You don't much like Mr. Time, do you?
I know that when people lie.
That wasn't the question. Did you hear the question?
Yeah.
What was the question?
Do I like Mr. Tanya? Of
Yes. Now try my question.
course, I don't think so.
Thank you. Did you execute an affidavit with Ms. O'Neill on June 5th of this year? And did you say, Ms. O'Neill, paragraph 3, Actually, I'll show it to you first. And you can ignore what I circled. Take a minute to read that.
Okay, number 3.
Yeah, just read it to yourself. Yeah, okay. So did you say in number 3 of your affidavit at approximately 2:05? I turned around and saw Lindsay Gattani into the courtroom holding a white piece of paper in her hand. Immediately told me we need to leave. We were surprised to see her there because she never attended the parent meeting prior to that and was not friends with any of the witnesses or the victims' parents. By the way, have you attended all of the parent hearings at that point?
Most of them, not all.
Then you don't know of your personal knowledge whether this Gattani was saying it already previous service or not, do you?
I do watching the, I watched every single hearing.
Oh, you kept a vigilant eye. So at the moment that Ms. Gattani walked in, you checked out every single person in the courtroom.
Well, at that point, she said, she also knew that she was there.
I'm not sure I see the connection, but maybe if I think about it, it will become clear. Now, did you happen to read an affidavit that Mr. Kearney wrote?
One,
This one.
Judge, I object to impeaching a witness with someone else's statement.
See what the question's going to.
that's so long. But I'm not familiar with all of it, so there's only one that think like that. Also, take a look.
Just wait for a question. You don't have to respond.
Did you happen to watch, did you watch all of these Kearney shows? Do you remember whether you watched the Saturday Night Live show on February 24th?
I don't remember off the top of my head, but that was so long ago.
Well, did we agree that February 24th of 2004 was 2 days before February 26th, the hearing date of the case?
2024?
Yes, right, when,
Yeah, I agree this is to be.
thank you. And do you know that Mr. Kearney said that on that live show, he announced that he would be defending Karen Reed here in the was very important that.
You're saying that very enough to.
And do you know that he stated that,
Give me one. Witnesses don't have to agree or disagree, just whatever you know or don't know.
and you know that he stated that on that show, he expressed concerns that the mechanics and Alberts would show up with Lindsay Gattani as a human shield in order to remove him from the courtroom due to the restraining order she had.
I don't remember saying that.
Well, still for the moment, he did. Can you explain why, in light of the fact that he's broadcasting on the live show 2 days before the ceremony, he was worried about the family showing up? He was surprised to see Lindsay walk into the court.
Objection sustained. No, excuse me. The objection is sustained. Next question.
So you and Mr. Kearney see Lindsay Gattani come in and you get up and you leave. And you go down the stairs and out the door. Is that correct? And at what point does Mr. Kearney start live test?
You know, as soon as we stepped outside.
Stepped outside the courtroom or stepped outside the building?
No.
Okay. And that was always the plan, was it not? What's the point of the visit? Was the Kearney was to do a live cast on the scene?
I don't know. we managed to,
So you pretty much always do that, and that was the Karen meeting.
see before, I always got that.
How often we say that's not the lot, that's stuff.
It's only, it doesn't mean what it is, that's a mortgage one. It is that day we keep camera on to document what's happening out there.
He told you, I want to document what happens there.
That's the time he followed him, he wanted it on camera.
Oh. So. You're outside of the courtroom, he talks to the officer. And the officer directs him, you say it's registry. You hear the officer say registry of deeds,
So he said, go over there and point the first to you.
off. Stop and point like this, or was it a gesture like that?
Are you pointing at the building?
Straight ahead,
Absolutely.
wasn't pointing at Ponson.
I don't respond.
Mr. Kearney goes over there, are you still with him at this point?
Yeah.
And you're standing next to him or nearby him by the registry of deeds building,
Bye. Not,
and you're familiar with the Norfolk Superior Court, the entrance and the exit, I'm not. And you've attended a number of the hearings that you've seen. And you know that typically when the hearings get over, people who have attended the hearing, quite a number of them have found the hearing, through that. Which will agree, quite a number of people typically attend the Karen hearing.
okay.
And on this particular day, it was so crowded, everybody couldn't get in, right? So you know when the hearing ends, what typically happens is the people go out that main exit door, same when they went in, right?
Yeah.
Now, at some point, you notice that people are coming out the door, right?
Yeah.
Are you standing next to the defendant at that point?
Or a little bit, you're still a little bit away, the crowd started.
Well, did you observe whether Mr. Kearney, who was worried that Ms. Catani might follow him, was looking at the jeweler at the door, was in the position to notice the crowd coming?
On his camera live streaming himself.
So is it your testimony his view was totally obstructed by the phone?
I can't tell you what he was thinking at that point, because I was having a conversation.
Well, you've been very good about telling us what I'm looking at other folks.
Counsel, should you wait for her to answer the question? Thank you. You can finish your answer.
I can't tell you what he was thinking about his assessment of what was going on, so I was having a conversation, people were rushing up to me, he was on his phone, so.
So in any case, you noticed that people were coming. Did you have any reason to believe that Ms. Catani would not be coming out that door with the rest of the crowd attending here?
Thanks, Mike. But
What was the question on that?
I know it's times where he has plans to close the door for him.
No. I asked you, did you have any reason to believe that Ms. Catani would not be walking out that door with all the rest of the people who attended the hearing?
Objection, or is inviting speculation, someone else's state of mind.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean wrong for insisting. Well, at that point, did you say to Mr. Kearney, I see people coming out. I see people from the Karen Reed hearing coming out the door across the street. Did you say that, John?
No, there was,
And you only talk to them when you're directly next to them.
I was talking to other people.
So you have no concern at all. The Lindsay Guattari to come out and pursue him and get him in trouble. You weren't worried about that at all at that point.
I was trying to figure out what happened because
I didn't ask you what you're trying to figure out. I asked you if you were worried at all that Lindsay Guattari would come out and pursue him. I thought that was your big worry. Didn't you tell Mr. Brady that? You and Mr. Kearney were
But
very
I
worried.
just would like her to be able to get an answer and.
One question at a time, if the cost of.
Yeah, we were too sure to go back to Monaco. Or the next time, look them up.
And you didn't think that in the blue this one, please.
No.
She will send her to.
No, I didn't ask you why. So you don't tell Mr. Kearney that people are coming up, you don't call that the attention. Because you're talking to somebody, or for whatever reason, you don't call it to this.
Talking to college.
And you don't say, hey, Lindsay might be coming out that door. Why don't you go back to my car and get the hell out of here so she doesn't track you?
I hadn't seen her at that point.
So was it your plan to wait until she was on top of you before you left?
No, we didn't have a plan, so she didn't expect to carry them inside the.
Well, it hasn't, right? People were coming out the door regardless of your expectations. You could see that, could you not? And in fact, before people even started coming out, you were so worried about Lindsay Guattari. Why didn't you say, let's go back to my car and get the hell out of here so there isn't problem?
We wanted to be more than the reports, so that's fire report, they tell me.
And there was a police station in the town of Down.
I don't know.
And do you know when Mr. Bryant filed a police report? Relative to that visit, couple of days after. So you couldn't leave because you wanted to file a police report, but then a couple of days passed before Mr. Kearney gets there. That what you're telling us?
At that point, it's already, he's already started with this, so.
But you think it would have been proved to get it recorded before she did?
He did, like, that night, so.
So you would say she was very quick about reporting this alleged violation.
Not when it happens, not until later.
Could have belonged to it.
Yes.
So Mr. Kearney did not stay up against the wall of the registry of deeds. Yeah,
No, we actually went out to the, down Court Street, like, we I texted them, "Do not come back here to the parking lot."
well, when he starts moving, he moves in the direction of this court, correct?
No, we moved around the back towards Superior, down Court Street.
Really? Could I have, 15, please. Remember what Mr. Kearney was dressed as that day?
Right,
The blue tie. Dark blue tie. You see him in that photo, goes to the back. But at that point, he's not in the front of he's not on the steps of the registry of deeds.
there's more different stuff, so I can't tell where exactly he is from that photo.
All right. Well, would you say, looking at the registry of deeds building, would you say he's moved to the right or he's moved?
Judge, I object. This is all speculation because we don't know where Mr. Kearney is. We don't know when this is.
Objection sustained. I don't need to hear the whole thing. You can't tell can you tell from that photo what direction he went? Yes or no?
No,
Next question.
All right. I'll take a look at 16, please. Well, wherever he is, it's fair to say he's not on the front of the registry of deeds at this point.
I can't tell where he is. I don't, it doesn't look like the front of.
All right. Let me move on to another line of question. You had your cell phone there. Mr. Kearney obviously had his cell phone. Did you ever call him and suggested it would be a good idea to call?
I did not serve it there.
I'm sorry,
I didn't call him, but I went down to service and everything.
whenever you're in the courthouse or whenever you were outside.
That is your general, my very terrible service.
Who's your carrier?
Thank you.
And when you were there were a lot of people in the crowd shouting this. And you were, at times, you were some distance from Mr. Kearney.
Yeah, and then we went back to the parking lot.
Right. So you really have no idea whether he happened to shout liar, liar at somebody at some time or not.
Well, by the time I got to the parking lot, Mr. Connie was there, so we couldn't have passed it.
And when you were apart from Mr. Kearney, were you down in the parking lot the whole time or?
For most of the time, and then walked back, yes.
So you weren't necessarily next to him at all times before you got to the parking.
For the parking lot, I was with him most of the time.
I'm sorry?
Before I went to the parking lot, which was when we got separated, I was with them most of the time, fairly close to him.
You were most of the time fairly closely. All right, so the answer to my question, which was you weren't with him at all times, is yes. Let us have a phone with you today.
In here, yes.
Still have the text message, do not come back here.
I got to scroll that far, but if I didn't delete them, which I believe to be in there.
Thank you. No further questions.
Just a brief question, Your Honor. So you were asked Ms. O'Neill about why didn't you go find the police station and report it afterwards? Something to that effect, right? Were you in the car with Mr. Kearney for a little while after kind of this whole thing had subsided? Was he in any sort of state of mind to be able to report anything to the police?
On the verge of tears, I mean, go get it.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
He was on the verge of tears, he was shaking, and it was. try to calm down enough to be able to go, at least pick up the kids.
All right. And is that why you didn't pursue any police documentation at that point?
All do with. So.
Thank you, nothing further.
Yes. And the break of tears and the. That's fun. When I was crying during the live broadcast. The live cast he was doing across the street, registry to be. So he only collapsed into this emotional state after he hit that. He held it together bravely during the broadcast was. No further questions.
Nothing further. Thank
You may step down, thank you.
Judge sets the break.
I have a very quick witness who's got to pick up her kids, and I was hoping to maybe just get her on for 5 minutes or so.
So what happened across, but we'll start it.
Sure,
Go for a
appreciate it.
short period of time.
Thank you, Lauren Cologne. Lauren Cologne.
Or go well.
Lauren Cologne.
Yep.
Yep, thank you.
Good morning, if you raise your right hand, do you swear in the matter now I'm hearing to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
We do.
Thank you.
May I inquire, Your Honor? Ms. Cologne, good afternoon. State your name and spell your last name, please.
OL,
And where do you live, just generally?
in the Norfolk County.
What do you do for a living?
I am a project manager at a large company. I work out of their headquarters.
And are you married?
I
Family?
am.
What's your educational background?
I have my undergraduate and an MBA degree, both from Northeastern University.
You've taken an interest in the Karen Reed and Aidan Kearney cases here in Norfolk County?
Yeah.
And from time to time, you attend these hearings?
I've attended one here.
Was that 2/26/24?
That one.
And you were there inside the courthouse or outside the courthouse when that Karen Reed hearing was going on?
outside.
Shortly after 2 o'clock, were you outside the courthouse? Do you know who Aidan Kearney is?
We do.
And it's the gentleman here with me, right? And did you see him emerge from the courthouse a little bit after 2 o'clock?
I did.
And what exactly were your observations? And first of all, where were you situated when you first saw him?
Yes, I was on the stairs. A little, it was the first stair or two leading up to the courthouse doors.
Okay, so the base of the stairs at the Norfolk Superior Court main entrance. You see Mr. Kearney. What do you see?
Mr. Kearney came out, he looked visibly anxious, very, very anxious. He had really a great concern that was,
Objection.
Anxious will stand. Next question.
Was he using his phone at all?
not, but then I did observe him make a comment that I should.
Objection to the comments.
You answered that question. What's your next question, Mr. Byrne?
What did you see him do, just physically with respect to his phone? Do you know if he was recording out to the world or recording himself? If you know,
I believe he was recording the.
where was he when he started to do that?
I want to say, maybe it was like around the base of the stairs. Maybe leading out into the sidewalk.
I'm sorry, okay, when he came out, did he draw your attention or were you looking at other things besides Mr. Kearney or anything?
No, I was looking.
And what did you see him do and Where did you see him go?
Well, I saw him, there was a state trooper that was there on the stairs as
Objection, my
well.
question is, what
Yeah,
did you
I've
see him
heard the
do?
question, thanks. Yeah.
What did you see
Listen
him
to
do?
the question and just answer that question, please.
He began moving down the stairs and started to, cross the street. He approached a Dedham police officer.
You were gonna talk about a state trooper. Did a state trooper approach him as well?
Yeah.
What
the
happened?
State trooper was concerned about,
Objection,
Just what did you see happen?
so I saw the state trooper usher folks off the stairs and to continue moving across the street.
And was Mr. Carney part of that group of people that were being ushered around? Where did he go?
He then, was walking into the street. He approached a Dedham police officer.
Was that Dedham police officer busy doing things, or was he just completely focused on Mr. Carney?
No, there was a lot of people around.
Next question.
Did you see Mr. Carney speak to him?
I did.
What was said?
I
objection,
saw.
Notice and knowledge on state of mind.
Grounds for your objection.
it's useless.
What's the
And it's also already in evidence, Your Honor's used the recording of the conversation.
overruled?
What did he say to the officer?
I did not hear what was said.
Next question.
What did you see as far as any physical gestures by either Mr. Carney or the officer?
I saw the officer lift his hand and point towards the registry of deeds. I then
Next
saw,
question.
And then what did you see Mr. Carney do in terms of gesture?
I saw him do the same.
And where did you see Mr. Carney proceed after that?
He then walked over to the registry.
Was he still doing his thing with his phone?
Yeah.
At some point, hundreds of people stream out of the Norfolk Superior Court, right? Was it close in time after this interaction?
It was.
What did you observe about people streaming out of the court?
Just generally, I really didn't observe, I don't know.
Okay, was there a large number of people or a small number of people?
There was a large number.
Now, were they going towards the handicap ramp, down the main stairs, or where were they going in general?
There were folks using, both the handicap, the handicap rail and the.
Were you near Mr. Carney when those folks started to stream out of the courthouse?
No.
Did you see Mr. Carney doing anything else outside the courthouse when these folks were coming out of the courthouse?
I did not.
I just have one more, please, Ron. Thank you very much, Ron. Nothing further. Thank you.
So he, friends,
I have seen his YouTube,
just once,
no.
when was the most recent time, so.
Last night, we had one of the jurors from the first year trial.
Have you watched others as well?
Yeah.
You have a paid subscription to any of these channels, some of them are free, some of them are paid.
No,
And can I ask you if you executed this affidavit March 6th?
yeah,
And And, how did you come to run this septic, David, or how did you come to execute the septic?
And I would recall if somebody sent me a tweet or if I saw it myself, but it was basically, a request from Mr. Kearney, if you were there, let me know if you're going to give your observations.
So he put out the request and you responded to it.
Yes, I felt as though,
Tell me what you thought.
Yes.
Answer the question. So, after you responded, what happens if you're still clear?
I sent it over to, the paralegal who works for,
Did you draft the whole application yourself or did the paralegal before you were?
I drafted it mostly myself. She had other parts of it that I had originally drafted.
All right. And then you read it over and signed it?
Yes.
So some of this language, like I am of age and resident of Commonwealth of Massachusetts, that's not your language, right?
Objection, Your Honor. Legally, she signed it and adopted it. It is her language.
Do you understand the question? Were you the one that wrote that, or was that suggested, writing that you signed?
I wrote the affidavit.
Thank you. No further questions? Anything on you?
Nothing further. Thank you.
Thank you, your excuse.
Thank you.
Residents, what point?
Court's in recess until 2:00.
All right, continue to the front door, thank you.
Zoom will resume at 2:00. Thank you.
I'll try to get it 1:45, you guys are okay with that?
Yeah. of course.